Hello everybody, James here. It's Ask Dutch Anything episode 62. I'm going to do the quick version of the intros because I've got a slight announcement I should have made on the last episode. I've got 2 books, one on Owen, Hart, one on The Rock. We've got the Facebook page, of course. We've got signed Dutch stuff, including 2 of his books, his diploma, his hats that you can get, as well as the trading card that he's doing a sort of a eBay-style auction for you. Email Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com for all the information on that, especially if you want to make an offer on that trading card that he will sign for you. The most important email, of course, is questions for Dutch at gmail.com. If you want your questions entered into a future episode of Ask Dutch Anything. Future episodes, I need to mention this now because I forgot to mention it on Friday, was we have no episodes coming out next week because no one wants to work the 26th of December, and, you know, we record this on a Thursday, and basically I'm taking a week off. Everybody's going to take a week off, including Stevie, including Dutch, including myself, including, apart from my editor, who needs to work, and I'm going to put him to work on other stuff as well, so he's not taking a week off. That being said, there's going to be no episodes next week, but we'll be back on January 3rd. So don't, panic if you don't see us coming out. Now,
don't we have a guest on the January the 3rd show, or no?
No, that's coming up a little later. So we're recording with a guest on January 6th. Normally we don't do guests on the show, and we've sort of given up on guests for a while now. I think the last one was Gail Kim, who we both are a fan of, absolutely. Shall I announce who it might be, or shall we tease it until it's definitely a lock?
So it's not a lock right now?
I think it's a lock, but I just want to double confirm it.
I would bring it. Well, I hate somebody to lead me away and then all of a sudden not telling me. I think you need to tell it.
Okay, then. We may have for an hour, so we'll do some of the news first and then we'll interview, and we may have Kurt Angle on.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah. And you know what we should do is just keep it strictly TNA as well, so you can both commiserate on those days.
Oh, that'd be good.
So there you go.
Do it.
So you've heard it here first. Might be. Don't get your hopes up too much, but we think it's a lot. Kurt Angle's going to be a future guest on this show. Okay, so once again, questions for Dutch at gmail.com. That's how you email in, and this is what Alejandro did, and he's actually cleared something up for us, Dutch. A couple of weeks ago, we were arguing over the pronunciation of Titanis NL Ring, or Titanis Del Ring, as you called it. It turns out, here's the email. Hi, James, I'm from Chile, and I can confirm there was a TV promotion wrestling show here called Titanis Del Ring, 1971 to 1987, and then a revival between 97 to 2000. I think the confusion about the name is because Argentina, there was also a promotion/TV show called Titanis NL Ring. So apparently there are 2 completely separate promotions with nearly the same name in South America. So we're both right.
Yeah, so they do that in Spanish too. They just change the name just a little bit, one word, and it's a completely different show, right?
Yeah, basically. He adds that even though I don't have proof, and I also don't have doubts, I'm sure the Chilean promoter probably saw the Argentinian shows, then proceeded to copy the format and modify the name slightly so not to have to pay royalties. So there you go. There was 2 Titanis something rings in South America at the same time.
I didn't know. Well, at the same time?
I believe so, yeah. Not in the same country.
The original one is like, it's back in the fucking late 70s.
Yeah, 71, this email claims.
Yeah, and then it ran all the way through, but I never saw it on American TV, and I still didn't really see it on American TV. I saw it one night after a night of
passion.
Boom. I was drinking in black and white TV with no air conditioning, sitting up on the 7th floor of this hotel. And this wrestling show comes on. Of course, I don't know if it was in color or not. I had a black and white TV, but it was a wrestling show. And I sit there and watch the whole thing all the way through. The damnedest thing I ever saw. So if you get a chance to see this wrestling show, it's worth the effort just to watch it, because it was a kid's show.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what they were saying during commentary, but it was interesting to me. So if you spoke Spanish, and if it was in what language they speak in Chile, Portuguese or Spanish?
I think it's Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Brazil speaks Portuguese, right?
They do.
Are you sure of that? Anyway, Good show. I watched it. I liked it.
God, my back's hurting. You may have noticed on the last episode when we were both on camera and I was putting my fist behind my back, but yeah, it hurt my back.
What's the matter with your back?
I don't know, it just started seizing up during the Storytime episode. Anyway, enough about my rotten back. Let's get to the questions themselves. It's going to be a shorter episode like usual anyway for the last few weeks. Anyway, Christopher says, hey, Dutch and James, have either of you seen this latest indie mud show bullshit move that's been floating around on Instagram? The big fat guy nearly murders his opponent, and it looks to be entirely on purpose. Have you seen... It's a 4-second clip, Dutch. Have you seen it?
I have seen that, but I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was a hell of a damn botch, is what I think. Anyway, draw your own conclusion.
Yeah, we're going to watch it now. 1 second while I tee it up. Right, here it is. I'll mute it somewhat. Lower the volume. McDonald's sponsoring this indie show as well.
Really? Oh, that's just on the up. Oh my God!
For the
what's the guy who does it? The big fat bastard, and watch his face. Like, oh my God!
I never noticed that.
No, I just think they just messed it up. Let's see it one. Can you slow this down?
Well, I'm actually, I'm going to drag it very, very carefully now. I mean, this is
this a guy or is this a girl?
I thought it was a girl at first. It's a dude. You know, it's not topless wrestling.
Okay. And he goes down. He throws him, and I don't know where he's throwing him.
Tripped? No, he's stopped, hasn't he?
Oh my God! Damn one, he didn't kill that kid.
What do you think he was going for? A snake eyes or something?
I don't know what he was, but he's got him on the arms. I think he was going to put him down, not that far in the corner. I think he was going to put him right in front of the corner, but went too far. Down one of that kid got up from that. I bet he got up, and I bet he
worked
if he
another
could
8
walk,
minutes.
No kidding. I mean, he may not have. I don't think he doesn't look hurt really bad. I don't know. Do you know how this kid is?
Absolutely no idea. We'll get to
where is this?
This is just straight up mud show indie stuff. I mean, look. I mean, there's only.
Okay, here's this guy. I'm in the ring with me. He said, "I'm gonna pick you up, and I'm gonna, what's that move called anyway?"
It was the snake eyes, or if that was in the corner. But if you did it on the ropes, it'd just be a stun gun or something like that, I guess. But
anyway, if he said, "I'm going to get behind you and I'm going to put my hands, on each arm and I'm going to give you that snake eyes," I said, "You got to be friggin' kidding me. I'm not taking that move." But see, this kid, he wanted to take it. And that's the problem. These kids, they'll do anything to get noticed. But I'm going to tell you, if you're starting off in wrestling, guys, don't be a guinea pig for these guys. You don't know if you... Now, he could or not... He went face first, right?
Almost. I think
No,
he just
then he turned upside down.
He just took. Look how close his head is.
No, I'll tell you what he intended to do. I think he intended to turn him upside down in the corner.
Oh, like a tree of woe.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not a very religious guy, but I hope that kid's okay. I really do.
You can actually see the reaction of the giver.
He's on his, yeah. Look at him. He said, "Damn, I almost killed him."
Yeah, but he looked in the mirror beforehand and went, "Do you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to perform in front of other people in these trunks."
Oh, yeah. And this body. Anyway. Hey, if he took a walk, he'd make better time rolling.
We need to GoFundMe and get a potato sack.
That is not funny, James.
Well,
I cannot believe you made fun of like his weight condition. I cannot believe you did that.
Well, it's poor condition. I'd send it back. I'm surprised that McDonald's sponsored this indie event, by the way. But,
why? Well, they may not have sponsored that. May have just been on the wall.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I mean, someone's just found a McDonald's flag and glued it to the wall. I guess I don't know why.
That's what it looks like.
There we go. Okay, then we shall move on. Next one, Michael.
Would you take that move?
No, I won't get in the ring with it. I'd look at that guy and think the sartorial elegance aside, I cannot look at that dude and think this is someone who's going to take care of me.
Wait a minute. First of all, let's discuss this word sartorial. What is the meaning of that?
It relates to the clothing. His splendor, his outfit.
Okay. So, but if he suggested this to you, how would you get out of it?
Oh, I don't know if I go under the third and second rope or the first and second rope or just jump over the top rope, but one of those three.
Oh, well. Anyway, hey, if anybody was there at that show, I'm going to ask us. I want to know who the guy is and if he was okay.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Next question, Michael. Did Dutch ever wrestle anyone who shit their pants?
Probably, I think. There is a story about he was a black guy. He was in Calgary for a long time. And he worked for quite a while. But he worked with Andre.
Oh, I know you mean Bad News Brown, yeah.
Bad News Brown. And he didn't poop his pants, but Andre did. And all over him, oh my God. I've never really had that problem, but I wouldn't have stayed in the ring as long as Bad News Brown was. He stayed around a minute or two. I'd have been gone right when it happened.
So it's never... Well, we've already discussed it's never happened to you, but it's never happened to an opponent of yours then. You've never had the pleasure.
Me or the opponent?
The opponent. Your opponent, yeah.
I don't think so. And if it did, I didn't know about it. So...
That is lucky. Next one, Doc from Rhode Island has said, "Greetings, Dutch and James. I hope you're both well and in good spirits. Here is a short list of wrestlers that seem like they were pretty good hands, but they are not talked about much these days. I was hoping Dutch could share anything about these guys. So a few names: the Oates brothers, Ted and Jerry, Ken Lucas, and Ron Starr. So do you want to start on Ted and Jerry Oates?
I started with Ted Oates.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Columbus, Georgia, him and Jerry. And I actually talked to a friend of Ted Oates probably a month ago. And somebody had told me that Ted Oates had passed away. No, that was misinformation, that he's still around, still going, doesn't wrestle anymore. But he was a really talented performer in the ring. I did my first angle with Ted Oates, and it was one of those things where it was two young guys, and we had just a fight in the ring after it was over, and then they had to run guys in and separate us. And it was in Atlanta, Georgia, during a war. You know, the company I was working with had pulled apart from their regular NWA office, and we were combating them. And hey, we ran. I worked with this guy for a year, and we never really maintenance anymore, other than the pull apart. I did lose. We had a hair versus hair match, which I lost, which I have a picture of to back that up. I don't like to show that much, but it was. And he's from Columbus, and we actually sold out Columbus, Georgia. It was like a 6,000 seat arena, maybe not that much, maybe 5,000, but we sold it out, and it was and I really enjoyed working with him. Now Jerry was a little bigger than Ted, and Jerry probably went farther than Ted did. They didn't stay in the business long. I think they ended up going to Charlotte, to Mid-Atlantic. And I think that's when they more or less both just got out of the business. So, yeah. And I had some great matches with Ted.
We should find him. Why don't we find him and try and invite him onto the show for a reminisce?
I can get his number. Yeah. Okay, the second guy is who? The second person?
The third person, because Ted and Jerry are the first two. Ken Lucas and Ron Starr. So Ken
Ken
Lucas.
Lucas was my partner for about a year in Nashville, and he's passed away now. But he had a lot of stories, and he was the most nervous guy I've ever seen. Especially you when he would do a doobie, he'd get nervous and start talking, and hell, he'd make me nervous. I'd be riding with him, and he'd be talking, but mostly he stayed around the Pensacola area. It's basically he didn't leave there that much. He came to Tennessee for about a year, I think. What year was it? 19. I'm trying to think. 78, I think. Damn, that's dating me, right? That's like 50 some years ago, almost 50 years ago. And I remember his wife, and had no kids, but he was a great guy and had a lot of great stories. And I think he ended up doing something else later on. I think he was running some kind of a business that he could take the business and move it. They had a lot of beach activity in Pensacola, and he would take it out and put it on the beach. I forgot what it was now, but he was a good guy, Ken, and I really miss him and talking to him. And the last guy was Ron Starr. I met him when I first got in the business too. He was from Atlanta, and good guy. And I think he ended up working in Puerto Rico and almost getting killed down there, so he left. But I know all these guys. I'd be interested. Where is this person from?
What, Ron Starr or the guy who wrote in?
No, the guy who wrote
He
in.
said Rhode Island.
Oh, okay. I don't know how you knew about those guys, but they were all from my past. He must have done some research or something, but I knew all of them well, very well.
Just looking at Ken, Ken Lucas's match listings. He had a run in NWO Mid America in the 60s, and then a couple in the 70s, early 70s. Then he was back in again 77, 78, 79, 80, and then obviously went to with Jarrett's promotion for a couple of years as well. So yeah, he was a stalwart in that area. We shall move on. Frederick says, "Is it true that you were the best man at one of the Undertaker's weddings?"
And yes, it is true that I was his best man at his first wedding when he got married to this girl named Jody, and nice wedding. I was surprised he even asked me. And I remember his mother was there, his brothers were there, and his other weddings I had nothing to do with because he had already moved on. He was in WWF, I guess, in those times. I don't know how long he stayed married to Jody. I don't think too long, but he has a son by her, I think, and now he's married. He has a little girl now. See how many kids he's got with this. Who did he marry last?
Michelle McCool.
Okay, and how many kids does he have by her? Can you tell?
I can find out in a minute, but yeah. Did you organise a bachelor party for Mr. Undertaker?
No, I didn't, but he had one. I went to it.
How was that?
Oh, we was all drunk. Yeah, it was okay, and he was. Mark, as I recall, was nervous as hell, and I was nervous for him. So, but yes, I was his best man at his first wedding, and not anymore. See, when he went to WWF, I more or less lost not contact with him. I could call him, I guess, but he was on the road, and when he got back in town, I heard he was in town. He was tired. He didn't want to take calls. I don't blame him. So And I didn't really reconnect with Mark until I went to WWF.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, did you hang out much with him there in the
Not
WWF
much,
then?
not much because well, he was traveling with Paul Bearer, I think, and I was with the Harris brothers. So I stayed with them, and he stayed. I guess he would stay with Paul Bearer. And funny how sometimes just the situations you're in, you don't travel with your your buddies. And but I told Mark years ago that is hanging there, and Vince would finally find a place for him, and he did. And I've said this before on this show that he got the Undertaker gimmick by a vision of Vince had about himself personally. That he was eternal. It sounds weird. He was eternal. He's not going to die. He's not going to pass away. He's going to live forever. And that was the Undertaker's vision in Vince's mind. And when he got behind the Undertaker, he got behind him big time. So, and I think Vince, I think Mark one time went to see him. I don't know where he was, and they sat around like a whole afternoon and talked. And so, but what Vince was doing was sizing him up, and but see, just giving him another big man gimmick because he had a lot of big guys, but he really wanted to give him something different. And I will say that the Undertaker gimmick was probably the best gimmick that they ever came up with because it stood the test of time. I mean, he could still walk out there and the people would today be dressed up like Undertaker and walked out, the people would still stand up, which is a testament not only to Mark, but to the gimmick behind him.
Very quickly, where was the wedding? Do you remember?
It was in Nashville.
Mm.
I think, I don't know if it was in a church or if it was in a place set up just for weddings. I can't remember. I think it was a place that's a wedding, that's their business. I think that's what happened, but I don't know.
Do you have a photo?
I don't think it was in. I do not have a photo.
No.
I don't have anything. I should call Mark and see if he's got in there. He may have threw them all away. I think his first, I think his first marriage ended in big disagreement. So he may have taken all those pictures and hell, I don't need this crap, and just threw it away. But you know who else was there too?
Hmm?
Paul Heyman.
Hmm.
I think he was there. Now I'm starting to think, wait a minute. Why would Paul Heyman be there?
Oh yeah, because he was managing him in WCW at the time. If it's around 1990, 1989, he was managing him at some point.
Okay, that's why he was there then. He was there. And no, I don't think any other wrestlers were there.
Next question. Elmer Fudd says, or asks, did you ever get stuck with Ric Flair's bar tab like Eric Bischoff once did?
No, I didn't. I was never in the bar with, see, I'm not a bar guy. I don't go to the bar and just hang around, and which I should have done maybe, because that's sometimes when you get in there and you become the buddies to some of these guys, you're doing your basic, if they like you, if something comes up, they say, hey, we'll bring Dutch in or do this or do this. But see, I didn't like the bar scene. To me, it was more trouble to go there. Plus there's a lot of trouble that you could get into in a bar. And of course the booker sometimes was in there, and if you want to make a statement about yourself, just get them to liking you a little bit and drinking some beer with them. But I just never got into that. So probably the number of bars I went into on the road, and you would think like, oh, Dutch, he's in a bar every night, he's slamming it down, doing this. But I didn't do that. I didn't even drink on the road. So guys would stop and they would get beer, but usually I didn't do that.
Did you also hear that Ric Flair, Mo sent this in, Mohammed sent this in, the Ric Flair's ring-worn robe? We talked about it a couple of months ago.
We did.
It was green.
I don't. Is this true? Read the email.
Okay, well, I've really just got the price, to be honest. The robe that I said was probably Ric Flair's ugliest robe ever, maybe the second ugliest. I think he had one that was even worse somehow. It sold for $103,000, $103,700 to be precise.
Do you believe that?
It was through, it was through an auction house. It was well publicised. It was out there for a long time. So this one, unlike the Hulk Hogan one from last week, which I think is some sort of swizz, I think this is true. Yeah, over $100,000.
What did Hulk Hogan's robe go for?
No. His trading card that went for 130-something thousand. Do
you believe that?
No, not at all. I think it's a. Apparently, the same dude has done the same thing with coins and games and VHS video cassettes, and now it's wrestling trading cards. So, yeah. But I think this one's real. The Ric Flair robe.
The $103,000 for a robe.
Yeah.
Listen, I got a pair of trunks. I can't get $13. But to me, some of these, that is wrestling fans. You can't read them. You don't know what they're going to do. And they could surprise you. And I bet the biggest surprise was, who sold this?
Golden was the place that did it. It wasn't Heritage Auctions this time, but yeah, it was an online auction agency.
What is Heritage Auctions? What is that?
Oh, that's just another auction house.
But I've heard bad things about them.
Yeah, from me. You've heard them from.
Oh, really? Yeah. What happened?
Oh, well, don't make me go through it all again, for goodness sake. There's like a 50-minute video. If you go on Carl Jobs' YouTube channel, there's a 50-minute video pretty much that explains the whole Mario game thing where they tried to inflate the price of games. Oh dear, we'll move on from there. We've got two more questions. Move on from there. We've got two more questions.
Go ahead,
Jamie.
Hey, you had one email that I didn't get all the way through.
Yeah, I scrubbed that out for the Kurt Angle thing. That if we do interview Kurt Angle later, then we'll ask him that because it's TNA based.
Oh, okay.
So I just, for whatever reason, I just started writing it and then I just scrubbed it out. Anyway. Next one, Jamie says, "Hi Dutch, I'm wondering if you ever saw or worked with the Colorado Kid, Mike Rapada. I saw him when I found Music City Wrestling in 1998 when I was messing with my antenna. His promos always made me laugh because he would always mess something up and the tone of his voice was anything but threatening. Thanks. Mike Rapada, or Rapada, however you pronounce it.
I know him. I think he's like the Colorado Kid or something.
Yep.
He was something like that. And he was a student or a friend of a independent promoter in Nashville, in Tennessee, in Alabama, and Kentucky, is Bert Prentice. He would run independent show, and Rapada was his guy. So, yes, I know him very well. I don't know him that well, but I know him enough to, and how he couldn't do interviews, but Bert liked him, made him like the top guy. And I don't think he could sell water if you were on fire. That's what I think. He just, interviews were no good. And Bert's TV, and he did a TV show. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that good. And it was like low rent. Of course, most independent shows are low rent, but and Bert, sometimes he would do the commentary, but Rapada was his top guy, and I've always had my doubts about those two.
Bert Prentice as well.
Well, no, I knew about Bert Prentice, but I had my doubts about Rapada.
Jamie also sent in a link to an interview, so 1 second, I'll tee it up and we'll watch it together. Okay, I've got it, and it's got that horrible VHS buzz at the back, so bear with us, everybody, especially audio listeners.
I tell you what, Louisville, Kentucky, if you weren't there last week, You're going to need to be there this week. Flash Flanagan, he pulled a chain out of his trunks, you see, and he smacked me upside the head, and he almost got the job done. But the referee, he was smart enough. Flash Flanagan jumping around there, and the chain slid out, and the referee seen, pulled the chain out of his trunks, and gave me the reversal. That's right, and I'm carrying the belt now. So I tell you what, Flash Flanagan, if you want to cheat, pal, learn how to cheat. You can't even cheat well. So I'm going to make the rules nice and simple for you this Tuesday night. See, you ain't got to cheat. It's a no disqualification match. That means you bring a chain, I bring a chain. You want to bring a board, I'm going to bring a board. I might even bring my whole tool belt. But I tell you what, Tuesday night I'm going to get the job done. And you're the man who needs to watch his butt. Because I tell you, I'm going in the North American Heavyweight Champion, and I'm going to go out the North American Heavyweight Champion. See, I'm the champion, and a lot of people out there don't think that I deserve to be. Well, that's okay.
He's out of breath already.
It don't matter what you think. It's what I am. And if you don't respect me, then you'll respect this belt. And when I step in the ring with you, Flash, I tell you what, it's going to be a 1, 2, 3 this Tuesday night.
Wow.
Okay, you know what he's doing? He stretched the interview. And the reason he stretched it because he said, okay, we got 2 minutes. Or let's say a minute and a half. And he got to a minute and they went, okay, you know, you got 30 seconds more, you know, you got 15, you know, and he was trying to stretch it so they didn't have to do a lot of cutting in the editing room. Because I've seen a lot of interviews that, like a 3-minute interview, oh my God, it was forever. Because they were doing like this. That means stretch it out. Stretch it out. And the interview toward the end didn't end with a boom. It ended with, oh, God, I'm glad this is over. So, but I tell you one thing, pal. By God, you bring a chain, I'll bring a chain. By God, may the best chain man win. And it's what kind of match? Oh, no DQ match in Louisville, Kentucky on Tuesday night. Yeah, anyway, that's Mike Rapata.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing, buddy.
Load up.
I'll bring a board. What, an ironing board? Yeah. What are you going to bring, buddy?
Yeah, I bring a board. I'll bring a board. Yeah.
You bring a surfboard. I'll bring a skateboard.
You bring a credit card. I'll bring a credit card. But anyway, he was Bert's boy.
Yeah, decent mullet. Okay, we're going to end on this. And to be honest, I was reading this question before. I was like thinking, really? But we'll find out. Frank, New Haven, Connecticut. Dutch. How come the Apter mags, PWI, The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, etc., never covered Memphis like they should have? In the 1970s and prior to the internet and cable TV, we fans of in the New York Central area only were able to follow areas like Memphis and the USWA, to name a few, in the Norman Keizer, James Melby magazines like Wrestling Review, The Wrestling News, etc. Even when the Jerry Lawler-Andy Kaufman feud was heavy, there was very little, if any, coverage in the Apter mags. I was always curious about this. Well, I assume that Bill Apter, I mean, he's a huge fan of Memphis and Jerry Lawler and everything. I would have thought there was loads of coverage. Am I wrong?
Not really. Now, Bill Apter covered it pretty well, but I think the magazines really missed classic Memphis because business was so good. The TV was so good. We were drawing, I mean, a fantastic rating on Channel 5 in Memphis. And yeah, it would seem normally that the writers would have been covering it more. That's where I first met Apter, Bill Apter, was in Memphis, but that was after 2 years after I'd gotten there. And he showed up. And I think that he only came in after the Andy Kaufman thing, and I would have thought that would have made, and it did make national news, but not news like it would make today.
He recommended Andy, didn't he, to Jerry?
I think Andy kind of went through Bill, and Bill, he wanted to go to the old, this is when Vince's father was still alive, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe or maybe not.
Yeah, no, it was. It was like 82 and Vince Senior was still alive. It was the WWF, but Vince Senior was still alive.
It was later, though. Anyway, I don't know the dates on this. It was old W, like you said, the WWF, or
Yeah, they changed the name a couple of years earlier, but yeah.
It was the old one. And Vince Sr. didn't want to do it because he thought it was a gimmick. It was a comic gimmick. But Memphis took it and made it serious. And because that's how hot the business was in Memphis. And the night that they put Kaufman on the corner, and I've written about this and talked about it too. Here you got a 165-pound guy, about the size of, who was we talking about on the show this week? Weighs 165 pounds.
Oh, Darby
Allin. Hell, Andy may have been bigger than he was, but he's in the ring with some like long johns, a pair of tennis shoes, and pasty, oily skin. And he had 11,300 people in that building. Every ticket that was available was sold. And he had a match against Lawler coming up and sold out. So it should have got a lot more coverage than what it did, and I never know why. But sometimes even the ratings didn't even cover Memphis. They'd have all the ratings, and finally they started carrying Memphis. But I think if they'd have carried Memphis, I think they would have so much more to write about. I would think they'd followed Florida a lot, Georgia a lot, Mid-Atlantic, mostly the New York stuff, and Texas got more coverage than Memphis. But it was one of the ways that Memphis was kind of forgotten, but they probably had the best show of all of them, because people say, I have people even email me now and saying they go back and watch a Memphis tape. It's still presentable. I mean, it still has that carny feel to it at times, but sometimes, they would make you want to see a match. And it was Jerry Jarrett booking, who actually I learned so much from him. And I learned a lot from Lawler too, because Memphis had two bookers, basically. It was Jerry Jarrett during the football season because Lawler was a football fan and he didn't want to be bothered with it. And then after football season was over, that was after January or whatever, then Lawler would start booking. And through about 80 to 85, it was on fire. Not only Memphis, all the other towns too. You go to like a little spot show, it sold out. I mean, not all the time, but it was good business.
Even when I was talking to and doing the podcast with Shane Douglas briefly, he always looked at Memphis, and a lot of other wrestlers did. He looked down on Memphis wrestling
he did.
and what they were doing.
A lot of them did, but see, that's from the old. No, that's from the old days. That's from the Nick Goulas days.
Mm. Well, Memphis always had it's a bit more goofy and a bit silly and not as serious. Yes. But when you look back on it, it's almost ahead of its time in a good way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, of all the territories, even more so than the WWF, like WWE resembled Memphis more than it did its own past.
Yeah, in the business that Tennessee was looked down upon because of, they had a lot of gimmick matches and a lot of guys went there to finish up. They're at the end of the line of getting booked in the major territories, and they would go there to like just get work. But a lot of guys looked down on it till that run, and the late 70s was good too. But to the run to 80, 84, 85, then guys wanted to come in there because we were making then on short trips, $1,500, $1,700 a week. And back in those days, that's like $5,000 now or more. Plus, if you were a baby face, a good guy, you could sell your gimmicks, your pictures and all, and pick up another $500 to $700 a week. So if you knew what you were doing, which I was learning, I didn't know, but I learned quite quickly. And Lawler, he had to have $1 million years there. Because between owning part of Memphis, the town, and doing all those interviews in town, plus selling his gimmicks, he had to have some hellacious years, which most of that, I shouldn't tell IRS then, a lot of that gimmick money went unreported. So they don't know what he did with that. It was a cash transaction. They have no way to check it or anything else. But he had some tremendous years there, and Jerry Jarrett too. So.
Well, there you go. On that basis, we're going to shut down the show. Ask Dutch Anything 62. That was the episode. Once again, questions for dutch@gmail.com if you want to write into the show with your question. Once again, we are not here next week. We are returning with Storytime with Dutch Mantell, January the 3rd, 2025. And then also soon in the future, we might have a little interview with Kurt Angle as well. So that's something else to look forward to in the new year. But for now, happy Christmas, happy New Year, and all that kind of gubbins.
Happy Christmas. Hey, did this is after Christmas, right?
No, this is before Christmas. This will be 23rd or something.
Oh, yeah, 21st is Saturday.
Yeah, I'm looking. 24th. So this is Christmas Eve. This is coming out. I was looking at the calendar then.
Oh, happy Christmas Eve.
There you go.
Hey, you know what I'm thinking about doing?
Go on.
I'm gonna do my own video. The trading cards, I'm going to do my own set.
What, of like you now?
Well, not me. I mean, just a collection.
Yeah, you should do.
How many cards should I do?
I don't know, 6 or something. 4
okay,
or 6.
That's 4 to 6. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Because Tim would be stretching it. Anyway, thank you for listening. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And we'll see you. This is our last one before the 3rd, right?
Yep.
Okay. And we'll see you on January 3rd. We the people. See you then.